Hello, welcome back to Coffee and Colorful Conversation. So today's hot topic is hot roots. We've all seen them, we all don't love them, and they are very avoidable and simply avoidable. I'm always perplexed. I always am like, really? At this point, you're really struggling with hot roots? Because to me, when I teach the fundamentals of formulation, everything is in there to avoid having this ever happen. And it simply comes down to moving too fast, not really thinking about what's in front of you, and making one wrong decision that leads to, in my opinion, an obvious wrong outcome because you didn't pay attention to some very basic things. So I made a list so that I could try not to be too ADD today because I know this is an important topic and something that a lot of people struggle with. So I wanted to share an example. This pains me that this picture even exists because this is Jennifer Lawrence. And there's no excuse for a celebrity of this level to ever have a hot root situation. So I don't know what happened, who did her hair, and how that possibly could have happened, but it did. And most times it's exactly what's going on here. She changes her hair color frequently for movie roles. So she probably had a darker brown from one of the Hunger Games. And then they were attempting to make her, more of a rich coppery color. And because she had existing artificial color on her ends, whoever did this didn't take into consideration that artificial color is not going to react to new artificial color the way that we would like it to. I purposely didn't say color doesn't lift color because we all know that it can and does, but it doesn't do it perfectly or evenly. So I'm already going on an ADD down that road. So I'm going to stop myself. So in my opinion, these are the 5 things that happen most frequently that lead to a hot root result. So some of you may be watching this saying, what the heck is a hot root? Because some of my family and friends watch this and they're not hairdressers. So a hot root is when this area of the head, which I clearly need mine done, my roots are in full force. The zone 1 of the hair, that first regrowth area, becomes lighter, brighter, and warmer than we want it to. We call it hot roots because it's like, whoa, they are smoking hot. They are way too warm. They're way too light, etc. So that is what is a hot root. The list that I have is how they happen in the first place. So number 1 is not accounting for the remaining pigment contribution that comes from the hair when you are lifting and lightening. So when I say lifting and lightening, I'm not saying just in a blonde situation. It can be a red situation, a brunette situation. Anytime you're using permanent hair color on someone's hair, especially in zone 1 where it's fully natural, untreated hair has not been, exposed to anything negative. It's fresh, beautiful, healthy hair here at zone 1. Anytime you use permanent color, it's going to have some sort of lifting ability. Lift always equals warmth. So if you're going for a cool brunette and you're going in with permanent color in zone 1, if you don't account for the pigment that's going to come from the inside of the hair once you disturb the natural pigment, it's called remaining pigment contribution. People say underlying pigment, exposed pigment, remaining pigment. These are all terms for the same thing. It's what happens to hair when you even touch it for 2 minutes with permanent color. You're exposing warmth, and that the type of warmth depends on the level that you're working in the hair, where it's coming from naturally and where it's going to from the natural level. So all the exposed pigment you see up in here, all this warmth is going to be exposed in the deeper levels of hair as you're lifting it. That's what you see along the way over here. So this is what, darkest color becomes this, a little bit lighter becomes that, a little bit lighter becomes that. So it goes in levels of dark to light and exposing all of that warmth. So that is probably the biggest culprit, is really not understanding that happens. And then this kind of goes, what this piggybacks on that. Number 2 is simply forgetting. And I can't tell you how many hundreds, if not thousands of stylists that I teach never understood this. And it's like the biggest aha moment of their life is that 50% of every formula that you apply to someone's hair, 50% of the color is coming from the hair itself. So if you don't account for that warmth that's coming in your bottle of tint that you're putting on, that warmth is coming, whether you like it or not. So that the 50% of your formula being in the hair already is a huge lesson in avoiding hot roots. And then number 3 is redheads. I can't tell you how many people I see on Facebook forums asking desperately for help with a color gone wrong. And the client is like 50% gray, 50% natural, and they're going in with 7CR or 7CC or 6RR and 7CC on gray hair. You have to remember that gray hair is void of all the foundational colors that are meant to be in natural hair. It is like a complete white picture, like a white cotton ball, how much that's going to absorb that brightness of that formula. So when you're working on gray hair and you go straight in with a copper or a bright red, you're going to get a crazy, clowny, not a pretty result, because that gray is taking on that tone exactly how it's coming out of the tube. Where the natural hair is going to contribute, like I said in numbers 1 and 2, the natural hair is going to contribute the orange, the gold, all of those things that are necessary as the foundation of gray. So that's really another one that I see often, like not putting any N or G in the formula, just going straight in, because we tend to think, when we're looking at a color chart, we say, okay, my client picked 728 on the chart. This is what she liked. This is off topic because it's not red, but this is the swatch that I have in front of me. So sorry about that. So she, you show her the chart and she goes, oh, that's really pretty. I want that. And then you, as a not experienced colorist who really doesn't understand formulation, says, okay, I'm going to go in the back and grab a tube of 728. So the same thing happens with redheads. If a client picks, a bright red like this, the client's just saying, this is what the end result is that I want. She's not saying, put this right on top of my gray hair, please, because she doesn't know that gray hair needs more to anchor it in and not become hot roots. So that's important as well, is knowing what needs to be in the foundation of that color and not just straight out of the swatch book, grab that shade and slap it on. And then number 4 is misjudgment of natural level. Every class I've ever done, especially hands-on classes in smaller intimate groups, which I love, by the way, 5, 6 people in a salon, just really getting into troubleshooting their individual problems. I think it's safe to say that the number one thing that causes the mistakes in their color is misjudging what the natural level is. So I even will bring my handy dandy level tool and I'll show them how to place it into the hair to see what the natural level is. Like, it should disappear into the hair when it's that natural level. And they'll put it up to the hair and they'll always say, I think most often they say the hair is lighter than it actually is. So I'll look at the hair and I'll think, oh, she's a 4. And the other people in the class will say 5, 6, mostly 6. So 2 levels lighter than it actually is. So remember, if you're misjudging where the hair is coming from, for example, the natural level of the hair that's being treated, if you're saying that a 4 is a 6, you're going to be formulating based on them being a 6. And of course, it's going to not be a pleasant result because you misunderstood where the hair was coming from. You're going to get, very warm results because there was way more contributing pigment coming from a level 4 than there would be at a level 6. So really taking the time to, I always recommend that you spread the hair out in the back. Back is always where the person is the deepest. If you went by the front of my hair and said, what is her natural color? You would say gray. She is naturally gray. However, this, especially this, is really the only gray in my hair. If you separate my hair and look at the back, there is maybe 20% back there and a whole lot of level 5. So if I'm formulating for this dusty ass gray, I can formulate and do exactly what I want to do on that, because the gray is going to take everything wonderfully. It's not going to contribute 50% of the warmth that my level 5 would definitely contribute. So formulating for being lazy, and I'm calling you out because I know everyone does it. They talk to their client, they look in their face, they do this, and they say, oh, okay, she's gray. I'm going to put, a 9N on her to cover her gray. A 9N on me on the areas that are not gray is going to produce, let's do this together. I know there's a little bit of a delay, but let's play together. So a level 9 applied to my level 5 hair, 9 plus 5 divided by 2 is going to give me what level result? On my hair in the back that doesn't have all that gray, on level 5 hair, if I apply a 9N, so 9N is natural, it's not fighting any of possible warmth contribution from the hair. So 9 plus 5 equals blank, and then blank divided by 2 is the result that I'm going to get. So everyone that answered are my amazing Hair Color Secrets insiders, my inner circle people. Every single one of you that answered. Proud moment. So level 7. Now let's take the level finder and let's see what happens at level 7. This is the color I'm going to get. How happy do you think I'm going to be if I went in for this at my roots? I wanted this and I got this. It's that simple, guys. It's really that simple. When I teach basic foundational formulation, I see a lot of glazed over eyes. You probably have them right now on the other side of this, on the other side of Facebook, watching this. Like, wait, what? What is she talking about? 9 plus 5? What? It's a basic math equation based on the universal law of lift is how I teach formulation. There's many ways to do formulation. That happens to be my favorite way because it's so predictable. So now I know that if I'm going to, well, I wouldn't use a 9N on me. That's another conversation and a whole other coffee chat. But that's how simple it is to predict that you're going to get an overly warm and overly light result when you're not intending to get it. Because hair color is chemistry, and it's a non, how can I explain this? Hair color comes out of the tube as like a beige substance. Like even your coppers, if you notice, when you pour copper into a bowl, it's not copper. It becomes copper when it connects to the hair that it's disturbing to change its color. So that's where we go wrong. And I say this, and I hope you're not sick of hearing it, but I hope that you're getting it. Hair color is not paint. It is not like, oh, I paint, this color red onto somebody's brown hair and I get this. If you've been coloring hair long enough, you understand that that is a fact. That if you put this shade on someone's brown hair, it's not going to look like that because it's that shade plus the brown. So it's almost like taking, I don't have a red marker, but it's almost like taking this marker, if it was red, and rubbing it on this piece of paper. You're going to see that I drew a little bit of purple shimmer onto a brown piece of paper, but it's not going to turn this color. So that is key. That is very key in avoiding hot roots. So we talked about, I think I did all 5. Wait, no, I didn't. That was number 4. So number 5 is not taking the time to really deeply understand the color line you're working with. For example, in my opinion, from color lines that I've worked with, there are some manufacturers that are way more intense in their red than others. One of them being Goldwell. I noticed Goldwell reds. If anyone ever comes in and has this kind of request, the first thing I do is get my butt to Cosmoprof and I grab fiery reds. We have a little separate stash of fiery Goldwell reds that we only use on one of our clients because she wanted that, almost vivid like red. And we couldn't get her there with any other line but the Goldwell. For what we've tried, I should say, disclaimer, because I'm sure people are going to say pulp riot and this and that. And yeah, I get it. I get that it's possible. I'm saying with our experience and what we had in our open dispensary, nothing that we had. Most of our clients are conservative, gray coverage clients that want to be cool brunettes, beautiful, cool blondes, or a little bit buttery beige blondes, and very believable, natural looking redheads, like woodsy red browns, very natural looking golden coppers. We had one client. I've been in business for 32 years. One client has wanted to be that bright because it's our brand. Look at me. I am pretty much the most conservative. I've been the same version of blonde, different, I'm a little lighter now. It's summer. Other times you see me a little bit deeper, but for the most part, you would be shocked if I jumped on here and had pink hair tomorrow. It's just never going to happen. I shouldn't say never, but it will most likely not happen, especially at this age. So that's the thing. Like, you have to know your client base and have things in your arsenal and be ready to do anything that somebody needs at that moment. I can't tell you how many people, I'm coaching them in their color, and I'll say, you need to use 09AA to fill that hair first for, 10 to 15 minutes. Rinse that off and then do this. And they're like, well, I don't have 9AA. And I'm like, well, what else do you have that you can fill at the palest orange level that hair needs, because it's fried and ready to fall off their head? So you have to understand how your color line works. And I can't emphasize enough the power of doing swatches yourself, not scrambling to buy the manufacturer's charts. Every single day, I see people begging and pleading other people to sell them their Shades EQ color swatch chart. They're like, oh, please, I'll pay anything. I'm like, why? That color swatch chart is done just like this is, on white thread. This is not hair. This swatch is not hair. This swatch is not hair, because I make my own swatches, so I know how they're made. This is thread. So this color is an example of what it may possibly look like on, hair that looks like white thread. Otherwise, you have all of the contributing pigment from the hair itself, from pre-existing color, and all of the things. So it's important to understand that and to take the time to swatch out your own line. So I started carrying swatches that are high quality human hair swatches. They're available in my Shopify. Of course, I'm not ready to post that because I never come on here with the intention of selling anything, but I promise 4 people are going to post in here and saying, where can I get them? Where can I get them? So go to my website is probably the easiest. I'm not sure if that's been updated, if it's on there. And if it's not, you can reach out to me through email, just elaine@expertcolorsolutions.com, and I can send you that link. But it's important to take the time. Like, I can't tell you how so many swatches, so many experiments, seeing what color is going to do on human hair swatches before I put it on someone's head. These are 3 different manufacturers' versions of demi-permanent V violet. Does anything here look like what you would expect a violet to do on level 9 pale yellow hair? So if you don't do this exercise, you'll never know that when you put that color on the hair, you're going to get this, this C1 looks green. This one looks rat fur brown, and this looks pink. So I don't want any of those results. So because I did this on human hair ahead of time, I know that I'm probably going to go with this middle one, but I'm also going to add something to it so that it doesn't turn so pink, because pink was not my intention. So That's how you have to look at glazing. But in actual hot root situations, once they're there, once the hot roots are there, let's talk about Jennifer Lawrence again. So she's there, she's here. Now what do we do? Well, this is where I really get crazy, where people say, well, this question will be on a forum. What do I do? And everyone gives their opinion and no one asks, what is the goal? Because the goal may have been blonde. And that's why those roots got so hot, because someone without experience said, oh, I'm just going to touch up her roots with the blonde, and then I'm going to pull it through the ends and it's going to lighten that existing color, which we know does not work. Or the inspiration for where they were going with this, the final result that they were looking for could be a brighter red. And they just, misshot the root color and didn't realize that they needed to remove some color on the ends. So knowing where you're headed and what the end result goal was is really important before you give your 2 cents. I mean, we could easily fix this by just deepening the root with a demi for, 15, 20 minutes. You would make everything even with her existing ends. But that's if she wants the color of her existing ends. Most times that is not the case. How many times have you had a client who's a brunette? She's been coming to you for 5 years. I know I've had this a million times. She's been coming to you for 5 years. You know her formula in your head. You could see her at Starbucks and formulate her hair. I know I can. So she sits down and she says, I'm getting a little older and I read an article in a magazine that at a certain age, you should start to go lighter. Can we just lighten me up just one shade? Give me like a hand raise, a yes, a whatever in the comments if that has happened to you, because we've all had that happen. And it should, in all, common sense world of a client who's not a hairdresser, it feels like that should be an easy task, right? Oh yeah, if you're a 5N, I'll just use 6N. If you're a 4N, I'll use a 5N. If you're a 3N, I'll use a, So it just seems like that would be so easy. But if you've ever done that before, where you've just said, oh, sure, I'll touch up your roots, I'll go one level lighter, what do you think happens? You're going to have hot roots. This is going to be lighter and brighter than the existing color that's on there. And then the client says, well, can't you just throw something on the whole thing? And we all know you can't. And it's a pretty complicated corrective situation because she has been that level 5 or 4 or whatever it is for 5 straight years. And even the best colorists with the best intentions have overlapped at some point. So a level 4 overlapped 3 visits becomes a level 3. So if you're having that banding in your brunettes and you're wondering where it's coming from you and your application, because you're not realizing when you overlap and you're like, oh, it's brown on brown. I don't have to be careful. On my hair, if you overlap, you're going to see it, right? You're going to see like, oh crap, I just totally covered up her highlights. But on a brunette, when you overlap that natural color at the regrowth and you come down to here, you don't think you're doing anything wrong, right? You're like, oh, brown over brown, brown over brown. It's just going to make it shiny in a new refreshed version, but it's not. Overlap on that level 5, this visit, it might just be a 4.5. Might have just gone a half a level deeper. Do it again, you're at a 4. Do it again, you're at a 3.5. Do it again, you're at a 3. So you're creating that band, that ring around the rosy that we don't love seeing by just simply overlapping. So I hope that this chat helped. Again, notice that I said to fix hot roots, I would go back in with a demi if I'm going deeper, because for all of my hair color secrets insiders, why. It's because I prefer demi over permanent anytime there is no lifting happening. So when I'm going deeper, I don't need lift. So why have it in there? Why even have it go in and try to lift and even have the possibility of going hot? So if you're listening to this and this is foreign to you completely and you've never heard anything about anything that I'm saying, it's possible, because you may just be finding me for the first time. You may be just out of beauty school, or you may just not be confident with your formulation. There's going to be an offer coming soon for my ebook with a bonus video about the book, about A Colorful Journey, just some insights, some frequently asked questions that I can go deeper on from a book club that I did. So if you want more information and this is intriguing to you and you're like, oh my gosh, this was in a free coffee chat, I can't imagine what is in this offer she's making. It's a very low cost offer. We're working on the Facebook ads right now, but you can, reach out and get it before that's all ready. So always reach out to me for, more connection, more questions, more things. This is my passion. This is what I do all day, every day. And I'm happy to, help you on your colorful journey. Everything's opposite on the camera. I'm so bad at this. Where is it? Your colorful journey. That is the name of the book. Do not go on Amazon and buy it right now because you're not going to get the bonus that we're working on putting with it. So please don't buy it on Amazon, even though it is available on there. And of course, you can always get the paperback version as well. If you're a physical book person like I am, you're going to want the physical book, and reach out to me for that as well. Go on the website, Expert Color Solutions, to purchase the physical book. And then I get to sign it and write you a little love note. So as always, thanks for watching Coffee and Colorful Conversation. And I will see you on the next one. Have a great